Hey y'all, it's April the 21st, 2018. I'll give you just a little taste. It's kind of misty outside. It's misty and dewy here in San Antonio, Texas. April the 21st, 2018. We're just sitting here. If you listen real close, and I'm going to be interrupting by talking, but if you listen real close, you'll hear like dozens of different birds saying all their different bird languages, talking to each other in code. It's interesting. Yeah, but I wanted to take a little bit of time out to simply ponder on things and ponder on things that we've pondered before on this here channel. And I like to ponder on certain things right now with you today, if I can collect my thoughts and think about it. All right. Kind of want to talk to you about drugs, right? And people's faith in God, right? At the same time, in the same way. I'll talk to you about that. This isn't, we've said this, we've said all this before on this channel, or we've pondered it at least. That everything is drugs, people. And that's one of the hard facts that a lot of people won't be able to wrap their heads around. Right? Because we know that it's popular culture to see people on certain types of what they would call street drugs or pharmaceuticals. I've heard so many stories, so many, and I keep hearing them more and more about these pharmaceutical drugs, right? But also street drugs, be slanged up on the street, shoot them up with needles. You do all sort of things with them. We heard about that, and the reason I bring it up is because we're kind of socially engineered to look at those people and say, "Oh my God, they're terrible. They need to be in jail somewhere because they're about to do something crazy, right? Might maybe hurt somebody around them while all high up on PCP or something like that, getting their toes wet." All right. The thing is, what many people they don't have it in them to even be able to research. And if you research, you'll find some interesting stuff about people who do these exact drugs from the streets, from the doctor, whatever, popping the pills, popping them mollies. Those people, lots of times they'll do it and you won't even know. That's what's interesting and terrifying to some people. But let me tell you something. I say I say from personal experience that exact thing happening where people just do certain drugs, man, you just don't even know, right? And the thing is, I'm not. Nobody here's a stranger. The fact is, a lot of people on these drugs do some terrible bad things. All right, that's obvious. Thing is, what's also should be held in consideration is some people who aren't on these drugs do terrible bad things. All right, so really, it doesn't mean too much. Thing is, we don't know who's out there doing all sort of different drugs, but we do know that as far as pain relievers of any sort, I mean, they're used even more so than tobacco. Tobacco's used all over the place. So what can think about that? Think about it for a second. All right. I don't do these cracks and this smack and this ice and this cream and this mollies and stuff. I really don't. All right. I don't do the drugs, but at the same time, I know that there's people out there who do. All right, maybe I don't know about it. Right, certainly that doesn't. No matter what kind of drug it is, it doesn't. It doesn't prohibit or it doesn't enable you to go ahead and do bad things, especially to children. Either way, the law should definitely be carried out on anybody who does things that are bad to children or bad to people against their will, and kill them and genocide them and stuff like that. People, they should definitely come to justice, regardless of whether or not they're on drugs. But it's a lot of people who's on the drugs, and you just don't know. And I don't know either. There's so many. I hear so many stories, right? So, with that in mind, when we start to really just, learn to embrace that sort of a concept. You know what I mean? It's just like, dang, it's really, really hard to judge anybody for being up on these drugs and stuff. Same time, what I'm here to suggest to you is none of these drugs are going to ever solve your problem if you do have problems. All right? Maybe you think that you don't have any problems. All right. None of these drugs ain't never going to solve none of your problems ever. Let's think about it. There's a lot of very smart people out there. They're all doing drugs of whatever sort. You got to understand, everything is drugs. Because, listen, a lot of these people, these smacking this, cracking this, creaming this crackle all up on the streets and stuff, man. And you know why they do it? It's in a sick, weird, twisted way, but they want to feel good. They don't want to feel bad. They do the drugs to feel good. All right, so that's the thing about it. They want to feel good really bad. That's what's the definition of drugs. All right. You can go out in the sunlight, as a lot of people forget, but if you go out in the sunshine and it's all misty right now, so you can't really tell, but it still feels cool and it feels nice. There's a breeze. I can hear all sort of birds chirping and stuff like this. That is drugs, all right? If you're not ever willing to admit it, then I'm sorry about it, but that's the thing. Feels good. It makes me feel good. Right. Earlier, I was posed with a choice of options of what I could do with my morning. All right, and we're into the late morning right now. And I chose this because it just makes me feel good. I didn't want to do anything else but this. All right, but that's like a drug to me. You understand? I mean, if I wasn't doing this, perhaps I would be up on that crackle. Who knows? I don't know. Who's to say? But the thing is, I do this instead because it makes me feel good. That's what people are trying to do out there, right? So, I mean, we've already explained all this before, but I just wanted to touch upon it again. Is that, dude, everything out there here is drugs, and it feels good. We need to feel good. We're needing to feel good because if not, we're going to feel real, real bad. We're all up in the tribulation. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just natural for us to feel bad. But the thing is, you start to understand, you know, like God's creations and stuff like this, and how it's just really good and it's nice blessings, and you're like, dang, you know, it's a lot of blessings. It's everywhere, and they use it all for drugs. I mean, basically, like me personally, I've already stated this a lot of times. Women are attracted to me, dude. I like, dude, I want to be around women and stuff like this. Everything about them, right? But at the same time, they're drugs, right? They're drugs. All right. I know it's kind of dangerous. It's very dangerous to rely on certain drugs. All right. And I want to kind of segue over into the fact is everything is drugs. All right. But you have to rely on it. Like I like the sunshine. Like I said, you know, it's not very sunny right now, but I like it. That's a drug. Feels good. Makes me feel good. Therefore, my body starts to feel better and work better. All right. Breathing in deeply, like rhythmic breathing and stuff like this. I do it sometimes. I'm not going to do it right now, but I do that sometimes. Just breathing, concentrating on my breathing. That feels good. It feels good. All sort of things feel good. You might have a husband, it feels good, right? You might have a wife, and that feels good. You might have children, that feels really good. These are all drugs, right? It's just, I mean, just admit it. That's the thing about it. And at the same time, any number of these things can be taken away from you in any number of ways on earth. It's not a safe place on earth. There's never meant to be a safe place on earth. These drugs can be taken away from you. Like, for example, some people have actually gone to jail, perhaps been put up in solitary confinement, right? In jail, dude. They can't get out. Some of these people didn't do whatever it is that they were alleged to do. A lot of these people probably. So they end up in jail. Somehow, circumstances, you know, they lead to maybe getting into solitary confinement, in which, dude, you got everything taken away from you, dude. And it's like, dude, we allow this in our society. We allow this to happen. It doesn't make any sense. But it's like, dude, take away every drug, even sunshine. Take that away. Just, I think they lay them. They say it's 23 hours of lockup, right? 23 hours. And it's like, man, they probably throw them out into like a little room that has sun for about 1 hour just to make sure these people don't die, because you need the sunlight to make you feel good. That's a drug. All these things are drugs, right? I drink water like you wouldn't believe, like you just couldn't believe, because it's a drug to me. It makes me feel really good. It kind of regulates my system and stuff like this. All right? So that's what I wanted to talk about right there, and we've already talked about that actually. So, you know, I just wanted to recover that. But I do also want to segue over into conversation that I was, you know, looking upon. Basically, I was listening to this conversation the other day between some folks that I was hanging out with. Right. And one was talking about, well, they were all talking about marriage, but one was talking about, what in the world, what does God have to do with marriage and stuff like this? And I know this kind of seems like in the left field, but this all connects, all right? These ideas. They were talking about marriage. And one of them on one side, they're like, what does God have to do with marriage and stuff? Marriage should just be between two people and stuff. And we just, if we want to get married, we're going to get married and stuff. But that's just between us, all right? Two people. What does God have to do with it and stuff like this? The argument was, man, the marriage was around before the Bible, so what the hell does God have to do with it and stuff like this, man? It's like, well, that might be true. In fact, that's probably definitely true. Marriage. It's been around since before the Bible. I don't think anybody in the world disputes that. But it wasn't around before God. That's the thing about it. And so, the argument being like, why do we even have to put in God something to do with our marriage and stuff when I don't believe in God? This is what the person was saying. They're saying, well, I don't even believe in God. Why does God have to have anything to do with it? It's just between me and a lady and stuff like this. Or I don't know. I don't know where you draw the line. I would say a man and a lady, but a lot of people would disagree with that. Right? Thing is, a lot of people disagree on like my opinion with when it comes to marriage and stuff. But genuinely, it's just from experience. This is what I've seen should happen. It should be a ceremony in which it's kind of endorsed by God, and there is only one God. His son's name is Jesus. I know a lot of people from all sort of different religions. They get married and stuff. Lots of times it is between a man and a lady. More often than not, it is between a man and a lady. Right? So it's kind of like a contract. And I was saying that to him. I was like, why would you even necessarily need to call it a marriage? See, because you understand, your question is why does God have to be involved? All right. My question would be, isn't that the definition of the word? All right, because I think that's an idea that's being lost upon like this generation and the generation before us. The idea that God is involved. All right. Let's play something on earth. What I can promise you about anybody, any last person, is that they've agreed with something, or agreed with a person, or made an agreement with any number of people before in their lives. Personally, they had agreements with certain people and stuff, and certain promises, certain guarantees were not upheld for certain. And this goes for every last person. There's not one person on earth who hasn't broken a promise or a guarantee and stuff like this and really kind of messed up, given their word, but it wasn't worth nothing at that particular moment. A lot of people have done that, right? It happens to every last person. So you can imagine that, okay, we're human beings. We're all going to do this sort of thing. We're going to break an agreement, more likely with a person. Could be with a dog right there. Maybe I agree to take her for a walk, but I don't. That's messed up. I messed up if that does happen, right? See, we've all done it, and none of us are perfect in that regard. The thing is about marriage, and this used to be an old school concept that, from what I can understand since the beginning of time, is marriage was not an agreement between two people, because you know that you're going to break the agreement with another person, probably, statistically speaking. Marriage in and of itself was an agreement not between two people at all, really. It was an agreement between one person and God and another person and God, and it happens at the same time. That's where the agreement is, right? So the thing is, people start to understand. They've been understanding that, if we make an agreement with God, guess what? There's consequences to that, because that's not something that you do every day. Make an agreement with God about, okay, now you're going to be tethered to this other person for life, right? This is why back in the day you didn't hardly ever hear about divorces. There wasn't much for a divorce rate, right? Because people were really believing in whatever God that they wanted to. All sort of different gods, I'm sure about it, right? They're believing in all sort of different gods, but they were going ahead and getting married, right? And they weren't getting divorced. Why? Because it was not a contract between two people which could easily be broken. all right, with the greatest of ease. It wasn't that. It's contract between one person and God, and that's the whole point, all right? That is the whole point of it. The idea being that there are consequences. There's serious consequences. If you're going to guarantee God and promise to God and for everybody in the community, there's going to be some certain consequences for you if you do not fulfill those actions. I mean, to the extent of like shotgun weddings and things like that really have gone on and stuff like that. It's like, dude, you are going to do what is right now because you're promising to God. And it's called a marriage. It's between a man and a lady. It's just for making babies. I know I make it like so much more simpler than a lot of people would want to hear about it, but basically that's what it is. All right? And so people understand that in a society you wouldn't really want to see that many divorces just because that means a lot of people are lying to God, and it's just proof in your face. You know what I mean? And so later on, basically what happens with, from what I've seen it over and over and over again, is these married couples will get divorced after a number of years of just absolute grief in an unnatural state. And they'll get divorced. And, maybe their life will turn to dog crap, man. We've heard about it a lot. Right, their life will get really bad for a certain extent. It's like maybe that probably is justice, like for making a guarantee to God, all right, and having a ceremony about it, and then not delivering. All right, that's why your life turned to dog crap, and perhaps you could pull away from that. Perhaps you can turn it all around. I've seen a lot of people do it. All right, I've seen a lot of people do it. But that is kind of your punishment. It is justice. That's the thing about it. God actually does exist, and I know a lot of people don't think it exists. And that's the thing about it. My question would be, well, what is a marriage except a contract between one person and another person? More likely it's going to get broken. So what is even the point? Financially screwing yourself over might be the point. That might be the point of it. I mean, I look at people out there, and they're in couples, and maybe they got married, maybe thinking about getting married and stuff like this. God bless all of them. You know what I mean? I hope so. I hope all these couples. I really do see them. And I'm like, dude, I hope they stay together, man. I hope they make it work. I hope that it's a great environment for children to be brought up in, so that they feel secure and safe and stuff like this. But y'all playing with fire out there sometimes, man. And I see it and I watch it. And I think about it and I ponder about it. Pray about it. It's April the 21st, 2018. And man, I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.